these techno jabs. Dozens of teachers in northern Italy called in sick on Monday after receiving vaccinations for COVID-19 over the weekend. According to yesterday's Tribuna di Treviso newspaper, dozens and dozens of teachers and professors were too ill to teach on Monday morning, having received the AstraZeneca vaccine over the weekend. Over 5,000 Treviso teachers were scheduled to receive the vaccine over the weekend, and as a result, 2 middle schools in the area had to close early yesterday because of the staff shortage. In addition, 15 out of 130 teachers in the Duca di Abruzzi High School were absent due to illness. At the San Domenico Savio Primary School, 2 out of 3 teachers called in sick. Maybe a show coming soon will reveal why Italy is a hotbed. Maybe this Tuesday with Expose 7. A UK government vaccine safety review has revealed that 244 people, including 8 unborn babies, have died in Britain shortly after receiving one of the 2 coronavirus vaccines. An extensive report produced by the UK government has detailed all the suspected side effects of over 100,000 in total, including death, reported by medical staff or the people who received at least one COVID-19 vaccine between early December 2020 and January the 31st, 2021. When the experimental COVID vaccine was first rolled out at the University Hospital of Brest in Brittany, a staggering 25% of the vaccinated healthcare workers fell ill. At least 13 people have reported mild facial paralysis after receiving the Pfizer BioNTech jab, according to the Israeli outlet Ynet, citing the health ministry, adding that officials believe the number of such cases could actually be way higher. For at least 28 hours I walked around with facial paralysis, one person who had the side effect said, and I can't say it was completely gone afterwards, but other than that I had no other pains except a minor pain where the injection was, but there was nothing beyond that. Fiction checkers acting stupid far more readily now. Made this statement: COVID-19 vaccines don't increase the incidence of poor outcomes during pregnancy, according to current safety data on COVID-19 vaccines. Then please explain, fiction checkers, why do the 2 manufacturers of the techno jab advise against it then? Oops. And then the Covidiots, our fiction checkers, made this statement: many studies find masks do work against the spread of COVID-19. Okay, then why does the manufacturer state on the boxes of masks say it doesn't in quite explicit terms? What a strange world we live in, where statements of facts and truth are deleted or banned. And we have children's news and Covidiots spouting shite called fiction checkers. Boggles the mind. We're off to Canada next. Quarantine travellers have formed an angry mob in the lobby of a Toronto hotel after it allegedly ran out of food and bottled water. Really? Leaving guests waiting hours to be fed during their mandatory stay. Now, Canada's system of mandatory quarantine hotels for those entering the country from abroad are now in question after a series of endless, chaotic setbacks, including food shortages and even alleged sexual assaults. And some of those experiencing the quarantines, which are mandatory for all incoming travellers for a minimum of 3 days and at a cost of up to 2,000 Canadian dollars, have documented all the problems on social media. The reality is that situation has nothing to do with quarantining it, and everything to do with a program where they gauge how it operates and whether there is any kickback from the public to it. No kickback, they introduce further measures. That's how they work. Flying syringes is a phrase that is used to refer to a proposed project funded by Bill Gates to create genetically modified mosquitoes that inject vaccines into people when they bite them. Really? You know, our show warned about these mechanical bugs a long time ago. Now they're just telling you. And in 2008, not 18, 8, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation awarded $100,000 to the Hiroyuki Matsuoka of Jishi Medical University in Japan to do research on genetically modified mosquitoes. Mosquitoes that vaccinate you? Oh dear. Gets around the mandatory, you see. And again, we highlighted this in an earlier show of releasing GMO mosquitoes in Florida and Texas. They must be stopped. Just when you thought you've heard it all, this story comes in. China has been asked by Tokyo, Japan, to stop anal swabbing the Japanese people. It just gets worse. But the levels of stupidity actually masks the real issue here. And the real issue is they are demeaning people, which ultimately lowers their vibration. Masks provide that. The NSA started it with their invasive sexualized probes of passengers, all just to get on a plane. But the main problem is we tolerated it. And this is the main issue. We are allowing them to stick Q-tips into our brain instead of swabbing our mouths, and certainly not swabbing our arseholes either. And the common sense question here is, does anyone not think to ask, do we have a respiratory system in our brain? Because COVID is stated as respiratory. So why pierce the brain membrane if it's a respiratory illness? Oh my, lots of common sense there. The World Horror Organization threw another spanner into the works this week with a carefully installed another date timeline into this pandemic, following the UK stating, "Forget your summer holidays, you won't be travelling." And then I don't give a Fauci stated maybe by autumn, if many take the technology jab. Like I said, it's not a vaccine, we should stop calling it that. It's a DNA technology altering jab. But Dr. I don't give a Fauci said there are things, even if you are vaccinated, that you are not going to be able to do in society. For example, indoor dining, theatres, places where people congregate. And what that line shows is their own fears. Places where people congregate. They are terrified of us all coming together. That's what that line tells you. And the great question is, why aren't we? But now the World Horror Organization have edged it just a bit further down the line. They're now saying 2022 and beyond, by saying the WHO official says it's premature to think the pandemic will be over by the end of the year. Take the techno jab and all will return, they said. But this show kept telling you as far back as May last year, it will not end until we the people end it. They will just keep edging it further and further back. You know why? Because the normal life before COVID no longer exists. I'll repeat that again. The normal life before COVID no longer exists. It's gone, disappeared, vanished, as I warned it would in June 2019 in the Clowns in Panic show. In the UK, the National Health Service has openly attempted to combat mistrust by recruiting celebrities to persuade people to get vaccinated. And similar attempts to use popular culture for vaccine promotion has been made in the US with mixed results. There was an animated rap video urging black people to get COVID-19 vaccines that the New York Governor Andrew Cuomo published in February was, for instance, deemed insulting, racist and condescending, and swiftly ratioed on Twitter. Yet again, using their old tactics again of the people will follow the new demigods called celebrities. Celebrities are a group of vacuous, greed-based cretins who harvest people's energy despite having little to zero talent for which they are deemed famous for. Fact. What have they done to help the people in this crisis, whilst they sit there in their lavish material worlds, whilst the rest loses everything? They are the peanut gallery in the Hunger Games. But the great common sense question is, what was normal? Have we defined it? Here is a list of what the normal world brought us prior to COVID. Sexual deviancy, lies, cheating, slavery, harvesting, child sacrifice, child sexual abuse, non-caring, non-sharing, greed, competitive and comparative, low self-worth, insecurity, violence, childlike adults, distractions, no soul growth, fake food, fake climate change, false flags, wars, TV mind control, religious mind control, ignorance, stupidity, and zero common sense. Charles Schwab and his Great Reset told you all it would not return to what you think was normal. But what you thought was normal is an abomination of society. And we need to quit filling our heads with illusions and focus on what was and is real. Because from where I stand, there is nothing normal about that world. That world is collapsing under its own weight of evil. And the real work starts with us all, of creating a new world to operate in a better way, that is all-inclusive, not exclusive like these fake demigods called celebrities. The original meaning of celebrity was a solemn rite or ceremony. Yet again, more church-based binding programs and a ceremony in their world means sacrifices. Now some may see the demigods reference as a bit too far, but it's not. That is how these people or those people see themselves, the new demigods. And here is a quote from E.R. Dodd that explains it all. When the old gods withdraw, the empty thrones cry out for a successor, and with good management, or even without management, almost any perishable bag of bones may be hoisted into the vacant seat. Hear, hear. In my opinion, gods are to set an example of operating in a better way. To teach, not to preach, and not ascribe to a veritable free-for-all of greed and service to self. A real God, demi or otherwise, is always service to others.